telling y'all, street got no guard. Guards do not look after street. Boosie really thought he wasn't going to jail for that pistol. I knew he was going. I just was waiting.
Things this case has stopped me from doing, traveling all across the world, making. So I just want to get it over with, and, you know, accept my guilty plea. I'm ready to get over with.
Anything you want to say to your fans?
Just say a prayer for me. I just need prayer.
Boosie Badazz might be facing a serious 10-year sentence in his federal case. And guess who couldn't wait to jump into the spotlight and laugh about it? Charleston White. The moment Boosie's legal troubles hit the blogs, Charleston went live like it was his own personal holiday. He was grinning from ear to ear, talking wild like he had just hit the jackpot. He even claimed he saw this day coming and had been waiting for it with a smile on his face. Then he took it even further, saying straight up that it wouldn't bother me one bit if Boosie never saw the outside again. Meanwhile, Boosie himself sounded completely drained. He had already told fans that the entire legal fight had worn him out. Earlier this month, he revealed that he agreed to a plea deal. Not because he was guilty, but because the endless back and forth had taken too much from him. He felt like giving in was the only move left, especially since this same case had already been thrown out once before. But that didn't stop the system. Prosecutors came back harder than ever in 2024, and now that plea deal could cost Boosie an entire decade of his life. While Boosie's been posting heartfelt prayers online, talking about faith and how heavy life's been weighing on him, Charleston White is over there throwing his own twisted celebration. He's on camera like he just won a prize, calling it a victory and cracking jokes, turning Boosie's pain into his entertainment, if you didn't already know. Boosie's been caught up in legal messes for years, but this case right here, is the one that really got him trapped. It all started when he was arrested for having a weapon, something he wasn't legally allowed to carry. That's a federal charge that doesn't go away easily. At first, things seemed to be turning around for Boosie. When the case got tossed out in 2023, fans were celebrating, thinking their guy had finally made it through the storm, but fate had other plans. Now that same case, reopened and reinforced, might take away his freedom for the next 10 years.
Charleston White was celebrating you taking the plea deal. I think he even said he hopes you die in jail and stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard.
The biggest thing right now was that you actually accepted a plea deal for your federal gun case.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you been fighting this thing from the very, very beginning?
I've been fighting for probably 3 years now, probably.
3 years.
People really thought Boosie was finally about to shift gears, to focus on his music, his family, and just living life. But nope. The feds had a different plan. In 2024, they came right back around, hitting him with a brand new indictment for the same exact charge he thought was behind him. It was like they were saying, nice try, but we're not done with you yet. That's when Boosie had to face the truth head on. He went straight to X and broke the news himself, posting, "I thought this case was over and I was ready to move on with my life. But God don't make mistakes, and I'm tired of fighting." And just like that, he took the plea deal, but this wasn't just another case for him. This time it hit different. It felt like the weight of everything he'd been running from had finally caught up and pressed down on his chest. He'd been carrying that load for years, the stress, the pressure, the endless courtroom battles. And in that moment, it all came crashing together. You could hear it in his tone. You could feel it in his words. The internet was flooded with love, fans sending prayers, messages of support. People who had been with him since the very beginning, but even with all that energy around him, Boosie sounded different. This wasn't the same loud, fiery, trolling Boosie who always had a comeback ready. This was a man worn down to his soul, a man speaking with faith, but also with that quiet kind of heartbreak. The kind you hear when someone knows something precious is slipping away, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. It was raw. It was real. And for those who followed Boosie since the start, they knew exactly what that tone meant.
Going to jail! Oh, God! Oh, God is good. I keep telling y'all, street ain't got no guard. Guards do not look after street. Boosie really thought he wasn't going to jail for that pistol. I knew he was going.
Boosie's life has always been one long series of close calls. From the early Baton Rouge days filled with street drama, to courtrooms, controversies, and even serious health scares, he's been dodging trouble from every direction. But this time, this one hits different. A possible 10-year sentence. That's not just another headline. That's life-changing, and every word Boosie typed online carried that weight. You could feel it in the way he wrote. He wasn't just posting. He was pleading. Pleading with the universe to understand the pain he's been carrying. Meanwhile, on the complete opposite side of that energy, Charleston White was grinning like he just hit the jackpot. He jumped on livestream, hyped up, full of energy, bragging that he called it from the start. He said he knew Boosie wouldn't beat this case. And now that things are looking serious, Charleston's acting like it's his own celebration. He didn't hold back at all. He went off, saying wild, disrespectful things about Boosie's future behind bars, crossing the line so far that even some of his own followers were like, wait, did he really just say that? But let's be real, this is Charleston White we're talking about. The man built his entire brand on being loud, reckless, unapologetic, the self-proclaimed troll of hip-hop culture, and while Boosie was probably still sitting there, trying to process the reality of what just happened, Charleston was already online cracking jokes, turning someone's pain into his next viral moment. The timing? Cold dot. Now sure, Charleston going off online isn't new. He's been doing this for years. But when it comes to Boosie, it doesn't feel like just another round of trolling anymore. This one feels personal.
The feds picked it up.
Now it was a state case. The feds came, picked it up. They had a ruling in the Supreme Court that went in my favor, and the case got dropped by the judge. The case got dropped.
Every single time Boosie stumbles, Charleston White is right there, ready to pounce. And this isn't just some random internet beef. This is history. This is tension that's been brewing for years. It all really started back in late 2022. Around the same time, Kanye West sent the internet into chaos with that infamous White Lives Matter shirt. Boosie wasn't having it. He called Kanye out publicly, saying the was being disrespectful and had crossed a line, but Charleston White, he wasn't about to let that slide. He hopped online and went off snapping on Boosie, like he had no right to even speak on Kanye's name, and that's when things spiraled fast. What started as petty internet talk turned into something downright ugly. Instead of keeping it between grown men, Charleston took it way too far. He dragged Boosie's son, Tutti Raw, right into the mix. And not just him, he pulled Todd's son, King Harris, into it too. He called them names, clowned their looks, said they couldn't fight, and even made disturbing predictions about where they'd end up in life. It wasn't funny. It wasn't trolling. It was crossing the line, and that's exactly where the bad blood between Boosie and Charleston really began.
He brought you up because you were attacking Kanye because of the...
Nah, that's Kanye West. It just happened. Nigga been coming at me. He been coming at me. It's just, I can't respond to those people, bro. Like, that's a danger to what I got going on. You can't take no risk of losing this shit behind.
It was messy. Real messy. That's when people started realizing Charleston White wasn't just playing some internet character. He was serious about cutting deep, and he didn't care how low he had to go to make it hurt, bringing up people's kids. That's a different level of disrespect. And that's when it hit everyone. This wasn't just trolling anymore, but the real shock. Boosie didn't take the bait. Instead of firing back like most people expected, he stayed calm. Controlled, strategic. In an interview with Tony the Closer, Boosie explained that reacting the wrong way could have landed him right back in serious trouble, especially when kids were involved. He knew the system was watching him. One wrong move, and everything he'd worked to rebuild could flip in an instant. So instead of snapping back, Boosie played it smart. He held his ground. He kept his response cool and calculated. During that interview, he made it crystal clear Boosie wasn't scared of Charleston. Not even a little. But he understood Charleston's whole game, baiting. He wanted Boosie to say or do something reckless so the law could swoop in again. So Boosie stayed quiet. He bit his tongue. On the outside, he looked calm. But inside, that fire was still burning. By the start of 2023, the tension had leveled up. This wasn't just petty online jabs anymore. It was real pressure. Charleston was already clowning T.I. over his paperwork party, doing the absolute most as usual. And then Boosie's son, Tootie Raw, jumped into the mix.
I wasn't gonna go to trial with it from the dump, actually, but I feel like this the right move for me. I trust in God.
But then things took another wild turn. Tootie Raw, Boosie's son, finally clapped back at Charleston, calling him old, dusty, messy, and even told him straight up to disappear for good. That's when Charleston lost it. He jumped on live again and said something so outrageous. People were literally staring at their phones like, did he really just say that? Charleston actually said he hoped Boosie's health would take a turn, that he wouldn't get his medication 1 month. It was cold, cruel, way beyond trolling, and for what? Just to get under Tootie's skin? That's the level of low Charleston was willing to go, but it didn't stop there. Just when the internet was still buzzing from that moment, news broke that Tootie Raw had been arrested later that same month in a situation involving firearms, and guess who popped out that very day acting like it was his personal victory? Charleston White. He went live again, bragging, celebrating, turning Tootie's arrest into his own twisted highlight reel. Charleston claimed he had called it from the start. But then he went even further, bragging that he actually called the police on Boosie's son himself. He said he sent in photos, dropped anonymous tips, and even contacted the Department of Public Safety. Like he was part of law enforcement, Charleston White had officially taken things to a whole new level, and he was proud of it.
Going to jail, all that newborn baby. Won't get the Boosie, won't get to see that newborn baby till that baby be walking and talking. Boosie going to jail!
Charleston didn't stop there. He even claimed that authorities were already watching Tootie, saying Boosie was, in his words, a repeat offender who used his kids to handle street business. That statement right there. That was the turning point. The exact moment this beef stopped being just internet talk and started having real-life consequences. Less than 3 months later, Boosie himself got picked up again, this time in San Diego, right after stepping out of a courtroom, and guess who couldn't wait to hop online and celebrate like it was a national holiday? Charleston White. He jumped on Instagram Live, smiling ear to ear, saying it was all God's plan. He went full preacher mode, comparing Boosie to Daniel in the lion's den. Charleston tried to twist Boosie's arrest into some kind of spiritual message, like Boosie was being tested by a higher power, and prison was part of some divine lesson. People didn't know what to make of it. Some thought he was being sarcastic, others thought he was dead serious. Either way, it came off cold and disrespectful, like Charleston was turning Boosie's pain into nothing more than content for clicks.
In jail, waiting for the FBI to send me the right callout number, cause I'm finna make a report on your mother and people. And you make the man call your name specifically. The promoter specifically said your mother name, Lil Boosie. He implemented you and implicated you. Finna go to jail, back to jail. You gonna be on your knees, but them knees gonna be bleeding.
Fast forward a few months, and Boosie finally broke his silence. This time on Vlad TV. He revealed he never even wanted Vlad to give Charleston White a platform. Not after the disgusting things he said about his son. Boosie made one thing crystal clear. This wasn't about fear. It was about principle. Yeah, he stayed calm on camera, but you could still feel it. Charleston White was living rent-free in his head. At this point, he wasn't just a troll anymore. He was a shadow following Boosie everywhere he went. Then came early 2024, and this feud reached a whole new level. It wasn't just interviews and live streams anymore. It was everywhere. Streamer Adin Ross had plans to bring Boosie on his show. It could have been a huge moment. But reportedly, Boosie turned it down, saying he didn't want any association with Charleston White. Simple as that. But then Adin flipped the script. He went online claiming he turned Boosie down out of respect for Charleston, and just like that, the internet caught fire. That lie spread like wildfire across social media until DJ Vlad stepped in and shut it down hard. Vlad dragged it in publicly, reminding everyone exactly who Charleston White really was, a man who had said unthinkable things in the past, including praising people no one should ever praise, and even denying real historical tragedies. Vlad didn't hold back. And that whole exchange proved something major Charleston's name had reached now. Even young influencers and streamers were using it for attention. Like clout from his chaos had become a new trend, but Charleston? He wasn't slowing down. Not even close, because later that March, he popped back online with another wild accusation.
I ain't really got no opinion on him because, my opinion can send me to prison. So I ain't really, I ain't really got no opinion on him, once you go to threaten people's kids, talking about you out of line. So, I ain't the one gonna do all that. I ain't gonna do all that, you know what I'm saying? It's just, hey, certain people you can't really express opinions on, and he one of those. You can't express how you feel because you might end up in prison, and I ain't getting tricked off.
This time, Charleston took it even further. He claimed that Boosie had warned promoters not to book him and twisted that into a full-blown rant. He started saying it was threats, boasting that he had already tipped off the feds again, like he was just waiting for an excuse to pull the trigger, and to make it even uglier, he dragged Boosie's health back into it, just to make it personal. Just to twist the knife a little deeper. Then, right on cue, he went live again, swearing up and down that this time he was gonna get Boosie caught up for real, bragging that he had the FBI on speed dial. But, as usual, Charleston didn't come with a single receipt, just a loud mouth and a storm of drama. Still, here's the crazy part. He said it loud enough and often enough that people started to believe it. And that's where it gets dangerous. Even Boosie admitted in an interview that he's been getting phone calls from inmates already inside the system asking him, "So, when you pulling up?" Can you imagine that? Boosie's out here trying to hold his life together already. STARING down a possible federal sentence, and dudes behind bars are out here joking like his bunk's already reserved. That's not just disrespect, that's humiliation. And Charleston knows exactly what he's doing, that kind of psychological warfare. It's calculated. Every word, every jab, it's meant to break Boosie down before the system even gets the chance. But here's what people are whispering about behind the scenes. Boosie didn't even want to take this to trial. He took that plea deal fast. And honestly, can you really blame him? Just imagine for a second if Charleston White had actually shown up in court. You already know he would have turned that entire courtroom upside down, turning a federal case into a full-blown circus.
Street kid. I'm not a criminal. I'm a kid who was raised to tell the truth. When my mama come in and say, "Son, what happened?" "Mama, I didn't do that." I got to pay for a lawyer. I got two lawyers, Carl Mallory and Louis Stearns. Louis Stearns became Judge Stearns, Judge Louis Stearns. But nigga, I had two paid for lawyers. My mama is a well-to-do mama. I'm just playing, I ain't playing. I'm an adolescent going through an adolescent stage of rebelliousness. I ain't no street. Hell yeah, I'm gonna tell on you. I've been telling since I was a little bitty boy.
Footage from Charleston White's old juvenile case recently resurfaced, and when it hit the internet, the entire story exploded all over again. Social media went wild. People started dragging Charleston left and right, calling him a straight-up hypocrite. They were saying things like, "You can't spend your days calling rappers snitches, then turn around and brag about snitching yourself." And the clip that's circulating everywhere? It's Charleston, on record, telling his truth, but also handing critics the ammo they've been waiting for. So how does he respond? He doesn't back down, he doubles down. He says flat out, "I never lived by no street code, and I never claimed to." He makes it clear he doesn't care who's mad. But here's the twist. While he's calling other rappers rats, he's also standing tall on his own confession. That contradiction is what's got everyone scratching their heads. And when you line up the timeline, it's no surprise. Some folks are now side-eyeing Boosie for skipping trial and locking in that plea deal. Let's be real, the last thing Boosie wanted was to roll the dice in a courtroom where Charleston White might just show up and turn it into a circus. We're talking about the same man who brags about calling the cops, tipping off the feds, and proudly admits he testified as a teen. If Charleston even smelled a chance to step in that courtroom, you already know he'd show up suited up and loud, turning the whole thing into his personal stage. Just picture it, Charleston standing in court, pointing across the room like he's performing, cracking jokes, then going live outside the courthouse saying, "Yep, I helped put Boosie away." That's not some made-up scenario. That's exactly the kind of move Charleston lives for, and that's why he's celebrating so hard right now. Because to him, this isn't just another rapper caught up in the system. This is personal to Charleston. This feels like karma finally showing up, exactly like he's been predicting for years. Every rant, every time he mocked Boosie, every jab at Tutti Raw, every late-night live stream, it's all led up to this moment. And when you trace it all the way back to that first spark in 2022, you start to see it clearly. None of this was random. The trolling had a purpose. The shade had a target. Maybe Charleston's been waiting for this exact moment. Boosie Badazz staring down the barrel of a possible 10-year sentence right now. Boosie's still out, but with that plea deal on the table, things are looking very real. A full decade behind bars isn't just a headline, it's a life changer. Meanwhile, Charleston's already online, clowning like he just won the championship belt. The streets are watching. Some folks are laughing. Others are holding their breath, waiting to see if that final gavel drops. But here's the part that hits the hardest. If Charleston White is this loud while Boosie's still walking free, imagine the chaos he'll unleash if Boosie actually gets sentenced. So stay locked in, like, share, and subscribe, because this story, it's far from over.
Like for Boosie, you done got too much. You done let these niggas play you too this internet dumb and bitch. Say what Lil Tootie gonna do now? What Lil Tootie say? Listen, Vlad TV. Vlad post everybody going to jail but Boosie. Somebody tag Vlad TV.